My name is Jason, and I'm a pretty normal guy. I'm 27 and I work in sales, making a comfortable living that affords me a nice home in a neighborhood outside of my city. I'm into all the normal stuff guys are into, like guns, camping, hunting, and so on. Since I am single, and not from lack of trying, I usually just buy the best equipment or tools for the job, within reason of course. Because of this, and just generally being prepared, I was somewhat ready for it when the mist rolled in. That brings us to this morning. I woke up like any other Saturday, after a night of heavy intoxication. I checked my phone, seeing it was around 9 o'clock a.m. I also saw many text messages and missed calls where my phone had been on silent. Something was going on, but I would have to find out after I used the bathroom. I decided to go ahead and get a shower to wash off the smell of cigarette smoke that still clung to me from the pool hall. The warm water seemed to revitalize me and cure what little hangover I had. When I was done, I made my way to the kitchen. This is the first time I noticed something was seriously wrong. A heavy fog had fallen over my neighborhood. It was so dense I could see mere inches past my window. I had never seen anything like it before. It seemed alive in the way it pulsed, as if it had a heartbeat of its own. Small swirls of it pooled like eddies in a creek. This freaked me out a little bit. I figured it was just some freak weather phenomenon, a mix of perfect conditions that rarely happened. Disturbed, I pulled out my phone and checked those messages I'd missed. My heart stopped cold in my chest. Multiple people had messaged me. My best friend, who lives about 20 minutes from my house, said, "Hey man, I hope you're okay. Call me when you get a chance, and whatever you do, don't go outside." I checked the group chat that my closest friends were in, and it was filled with similar discussion about the fog. "What is going on? Are we under attack? Could this be some kind of new weapon?" One girl asked. "We need to try to meet up," said another. "No. No one needs to leave their homes. For now, we'll just sit tight and see what happens." There were more messages, all just as disturbing. The last one that went through, however, sent shivers down my spine. The fog itself doesn't seem dangerous. It's whatever those things are inside the fog. That last message confused me. What things? And how did they know they were dangerous? I wish I had some more answers, but after that, no more messages were able to go through. Apparently there was no service, or at least not in my house. I didn't know what to do, but decided grabbing one of my guns was a good start. I went to my room and got my 10mm Glock out of the closet and loaded it. I figured the more powerful 10mm rounds might be appropriate for the situation. Seeing how my friends thought sheltering in place was a good plan for now, I took some time to take inventory on my supplies. After about an hour of going through my stuff, I discovered that I had enough food for about 4 days, if I just cooked like normal. I only had a case and a half of water, however, so I decided I should fill both bathtubs, just in case mine went out. I also took stock of what weapons I had. There was the handgun I mentioned earlier, with a box of 50 10mm bullets. I also had a smaller 9mm and a shotgun with a couple boxes of rounds. All things considered, I'd say I'm pretty lucky to have my small collection. About that time, I heard something outside. I was in my garage where the safe that held most of my guns was located. I could hear something just on the other side of my garage door. It sounded like something was walking along the door while brushing against the thin metal siding. That's when I made my first mistake. "Is anyone there?" I said, shaky but trying to sound confident. Whatever was pacing outside the garage slammed into the door and started scratching at it furiously. I jumped back. What the hell was out there? Whatever it was, it, at least, had to be the size of a bear. The whole door was shaking when the creature caught a piece of the bottom panel. It ripped it up and out, as if it were just crushing an empty soda can. The bottom panel of the door was now bent, and this allowed it to get an even better grip. It happened so fast, I didn't have much time to react. But then I saw something that made my veins ice over. A hand, if you could call it that, reached under the new opening and grabbed the door, preparing to rip at it again. It grasped the thin metal with a pitch-black hand equipped with long claws. The whole thing looked like a mix between an eagle's talon and a human's hand, except it was significantly larger than either. My feet came to life as I launched myself towards the safe. I grabbed my shotgun and bolted for the door. I was bursting through it when I heard that thing tearing the bottom panel of the garage door off. I didn't stop to see what was making its way after me. Like a mouse retreating into a hole to evade a pursuing predator, I ran into my house and slammed the door behind me. There was a large glass window on the door that bridged my kitchen to my garage. I knew if that thing saw me, it would have no problem coming through it. It just tore a metal door to shreds, for God's sake. Because of this, I kept running through my house until I made it to the bedroom. I slammed the door and locked it, trying to compose myself. I quieted my breath. It was still irregular and uncontrolled, but I had to keep myself quiet and hope the thing outside didn't hear me. Under normal circumstances, I wouldn't be able to hear noises from the kitchen in my bedroom. But the house was silent, just as the world outside was. There wasn't a sound to be heard through the heavy atmosphere that had settled over everything. No cars, no airplanes cutting their way through the sky. Nothing. Because of this, I was able to hear the most terrifying noise I could imagine. One I had been dreading, but knew would probably come. Glass shattered and hit the marble floor. Following this was intense scuffling, as something climbed its way through the broken window. It made me sick to imagine some nightmarish beast crawling through the broken glass just to get to me. Most animals wouldn't subject themselves to that, but I could hear that abomination mutilating its flesh on the razor-sharp glass shreds of the window as it fought its way into my house. It didn't care about pain, and it knew no death. It seemed that it would just keep coming for me, no matter how bad it was injured. From what I could tell, it had only one goal in mind, and that it would accomplish it at all cost: killing me. I heard heavy footfall on the floor in the kitchen. The clanking of numerous sharp claws resonated throughout the house. It sounded the way a dog's nails sound on a floor, except substantially louder. I was horrified when I heard it crawling through the kitchen. It sounded like it moved on all fours, but not the way most animals do. It almost sounded uncoordinated as it made its way through the house. I could hear it sliding into walls as it rounded corners and knocking over furniture. All at once, it stopped, and the house was silent again. This was more disturbing to me than the noise it was making before. Somehow, I imagine it's more natural for a nightmarish monster, like the one that broke into my house, to be running wild than standing still as it was. What was it doing? The thought of this creature being intelligent enough to stop and come up with a plan made every hair on my body stand at end. I listened closely and tried to figure out what it was doing. At first I heard nothing. I was starting to question if any of this was real. That's when I heard it. A single, clawed footstep. Then another, and another. It was walking with more purpose now, hunting me. It crept towards my hallway, making its way to my bedroom. I had just seconds before it was upon me. There was no doubt it knows where I am. I thought about going out my window and trying to make it to my car or something. That made sense, right? I don't know what is in the mist, but I know that there is something standing outside my door. Something that wants one thing and one thing only: death. I jumped up and started unlocking my window. The sudden noise of my scrambling seemed to anger the creature because I heard it charge down the remaining hallway and slam into the door. I threw my window open and crawled out, just as it tore my door off its hinges like it was nothing. All at once, I entered the fog, and all at once, it surrounded me. I had only run a few paces away from the house, but I might as well be on another planet. I couldn't see anything, not even my feet. I only knew they were there because everything trembled as adrenaline coursed through my body. The fog was eerily quiet, with the exception of one thing: the sound of that thing dropping onto the grass below my window. I knew I would never outrun it. I was still clutching the shotgun from earlier. I raised it and fired upon the monster. I don't know if I hit the thing. I didn't have time to think about it because, as I am standing here, in the fog, I hear something else. Correction, I hear multiple somethings. They are all around me.